Hello, I'm Kai. I'm majoring in English language education. Everyone says kids are better at language learning than adults. But do they really? In this video presentation, I like to investigate whether kids are better at language learning than adults or not. And today we'll find out if that's actually true or a myth based on the existing research paper. The myth said children are always better at learning languages. Why do many people believe that? There are some assumptions. First, kids seem to copy sounds easily. They're really good at imitating how people act and behave. That's why they're more likely to achieve native-like pronunciation. Second, adults often feel embarrassed or shy when speaking. This can limit their fluency. And finally, many parents and teachers repeat the idea that the younger you start, the better you'll be. That's why most parents push their children to start learning English at a very early age, like 3 or 4 years. Because this belief is widely accepted, I like to find out if it's actually a myth or a fact based on the existing research. This presentation is based on a study which compared how children and adults learn languages. Now let's have a look at the first finding in the research paper. The research mentions that children are stronger in pronunciation and long-term memory. They can mimic sounds more naturally and they are good at remembering words more easily. This finding can connect to the critical period hypothesis by Len Bragg, which states that early exposures to language allows the brain to adapt more easily to new sounds and patterns. This hypothesis explains why children are more likely to achieve native-like pronunciation and fluency. When children show strengths in pronunciation, adults demonstrate different advantages. In the second finding, the research clearly states that adults perform better in grammar and overall accuracy. They can achieve higher grammar accuracy and they are better at understanding complex grammar structures. This finding can also connect to cognitive learning theory. The cognitive learning theory shows that adults learn language by consciously studying rules using their mature thinking skills and life experience. Adults have this metalinguistic awareness. In other words, they are able to analyze the grammar structure, understand explicit grammar instruction better, and they are able to compare different language expressions and structures. In contrast, children learn language naturally and they are less aware of the rules behind grammar. These contrasting strengths can lead us to an overall conclusion of the study. The finding 3 clearly states that neither children nor adults are superior overall. No age group is universally better. Language learning success clearly depends on learning conditions and motivation. That's why this study concludes that no age group is superior in language learning overall. Based on these findings, we can now consider what this means for English language classroom, especially for young learners. For young learners, lessons should focus on context and natural exposure, and teachers should avoid explicit grammar instructions because the kids, their cognitive thinking hasn't fully developed yet to fully understand explicit grammar structures. And finally, fun and engaging activities are beneficial for them. On the other hand, for adult learners, we need to use different strategies. For adult learners, structured curricular and structured lessons will be beneficial for them, and they prefer practical, relevant, and goal-oriented teaching. To close, let me briefly summarize the key points in my presentation. Age alone does not determine success, but effective teaching methods and learner motivation matter most. Therefore, language instruction should be adapted to learners' strengths, not based only on their age. This is the reference list. And thank you for listening to my presentation.